Several students indicated that they haven't actually used Excel or not for a very long time, and they haven't taken 153 class. So let me do a quick demo of how to complete this assignment. Uh, if I were doing this as a professional background, I wouldn't be pleased with my background because the white of the title is getting faded as the background gets lighter. Just saying. I'm going to do these things in sets. If you don't want to watch the whole video, then just find the information you need. We'll do these items one at a time. First of all, when you open a spreadsheet, you may need to change the size of your view of it depending on the size of your monitor. I can see all the way over to column Q, and I'm only going to use up to column G, so I guess I don't need that much extra space. I'm going to the bottom right-hand side, and I will increase the zoom. There are other ways to do it, yes. And you might want to make it, big enough for you to work with, or you might have to go like one notch down so I can see the end of column J there. And the other thing I want to tell you right at the beginning is that there are tabs for different worksheets. You have 3 tabs in this file. The third tab has samples on it of students' work, and we'll work on the first 2 tabs. The first thing to notice is that in red, I have given you instructions about what to do. It said set to merge and center. Also, format and resize the columns if needed, then delete these instructions. Well, I need to go all the way over to column J, so I'm going to delete those instructions first, and they do not appear in G. Look up here. Look up here. They do not appear in G, H, I. All of the instructions are in column F, in cell F1, even though it doesn't look like it. That's why we're going to do word wrap later. Let me delete that with the delete key. And now I'll go back to A and look at A1 has the entire title too. So I'm going to go click and drag to select using that open cross, the hollow cross, from the middle center of the cell. I'll drag all the way over to J. And then I'm going to go up to merge and center, which you may not see, or you may see depending on your screen resolution. But it's merge and center, and I can do both skills at once. Now it's nice, it's black, it's bold. I might make it larger or do something else. I should put the company title in. I can either double click in the cell and then type it, or I can go up to uh, the function bar and type in the company name. And so I might do that. Where are we going? Walmart. I don't know who we're servicing. Now the problem is that I made the font larger, but the row is too squashed, too short. I'll come over here to the left-hand side and get this solid line with up and down arrow. There's another one for columns, and this allows us to resize. You have to go to the one below the number, and I will click and drag down, and that way I can change the space allotted to that row. We may do some of that later, and we'll need to do it for some of these column headings as well, but that's how you do that. The next skill is to set, let me do it on this one, price column. I said that you might want to center align the headings, and you can just click the center align. Don't be pressing that space bar, huh? Okay, let's scroll down and see what else we have to do. It's telling you how many you need to have user groups and how many and so on. There are instructions. They're not formatting. They're what to put in there. So you can see those instructions. But I do need to change my column widths so the headings all show up. I'll go to the dividing line between A and B and either double click or click and drag. Double click is automatic. I guess I don't want to do that because the whole title is in there. So let me do Control Z to undo. There's also an undo button way up here at the top in the quick access toolbar. So I'm going to do click and drag instead. Okay, and then how many of those devices do I want? And what is the name of that device? I might have to change that. One thing we'll want to change is, well, I don't have it in this section. I'll save it until I get to that section. So these columns you can reset by yourself. In this column J, which you need to do in the beginning, you're supposed to write your rationale for choosing that device. I already have mine set. Sorry. Um, oh no, it didn't. Only when I was typing. If I scroll over, you'll see that it went way over and it kept going. That's why you have to set word wrap. You click on the cell and then you go up and you're going to have to find the button again. And I don't have any buttons. Just a second. My view right now is this itty bitty little ABC. You should have words with it, but mine is always like that. So you click the word wrap, and then you notice that only some of it shows up instead of all of it. You watch down there on column J, watch. See, that's without word wrap, that's with word wrap, but you still can't see the rest of the text. So now I'm going to have to come over to the left to the line between rows 3 and 4, and I will click and drag down a ways until all of my text shows up. You may also choose to widen that column to help it show up. Your choice, but it's your responsibility to make sure I can view the whole thing when you upload it without my having to go digging around to see it, because your clients, your customers will not know how to do that. So you may have to change the zoom or something to make it work. The other thing I have here is font size color. I showed you how to change the font size up in the Home tab on the ribbon. We could change the color to, I don't know, some other color. You could make bold or underline or italic, something like that. That's the end of this little section. We'll go to the next PowerPoint slide. I'll show you some more things. These are cell formatting tips that you can use. The first one is resizing to make it pretty. Now I talked about that here with the word wrap and resizing the row heading, but some people want to make a space, so they put a gap between each section, an extra row or an extra column. Don't do that, because it makes chart making or doing statistics or anything very, very difficult. If you want space between sections so they look pretty, then what you do is just create a section by adding some space ahead. Now, to add a hyperlink, I'm going to go over to here's the hyperlink section, which you may have to set to word wrap depending on what source you're copying. I'll say HTTP. I would prefer that you write the whole HTTP or HTTPS out, although I won't count you off if you don't. It's changing, it's changing. So I'm going to type this hyperlink, and it happened that it came up as a hyperlink. If it does not, then you can always press the space bar, and that will make it turn into a hyperlink. I did word wrap in the first section instead of here. That was the next item on the list, and then change the row and column height and width. So we're good there. And this is the third section for this video. I'm going to talk about the RFP primarily, and I'm using that term because it's used in business, so you might as well learn it now. Let me go down to the other worksheet, and I'm going to crank up the zoom on this. Now you're not changing the size of the letters or the text, because you can determine the text size by looking on the Home tab in the ribbon. It will tell you what the text size is. You should be using the font size. You should be using 10 to 12 generally, 12, and then larger than that for headings. And here are instructions for this one. So we'll work our way through it, and I'll talk at the same time. I'm going to do the same thing from the middle in the center of the cell of A1. I'll click and drag all the way across. Now you have to let me show you this first. This extended cost, or it might say extended price, is actually only in cell D, column D. If you go to E, there's nothing there. It's only in D. So probably I should just widen column D. If you were in 153 class, you would learn how to wrap that text, and that's a good idea too. We could wrap the text. Why not? Let's go up and wrap it. Oops, but then I have to widen or I don't know how you say what heighten, higher, higher it there. So I have extended costs and boy, centered would be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, well, anyway. So let's select columns cells A1 through D1, and I'm going to go up and again, I'm clicking the drop down so you can see all the choices. You could click the picture and you would get merge and center, or click the drop down and you'll get the whole thing. The RFP. Okay, yeah, that's nice. Sure, why not? And then we have our item names, whatever we're going to buy. Oh, I bet you're going to have to change the width of that column, aren't you? And then we need to know the cost. Well, cost is money. Don't type in a dollar sign because if you type the dollar sign, then the computer won't understand it's money and it won't do calculations. So let's select this column and make it currency format. You see currency up on the ribbon? It's on the home tab in the ribbon. Now this is accounting currency. We won't go into the differences between them, but this is fine. You could choose that one, or you could go to general and choose currency. Take your pick, whatever. At this point, take your pick. You don't see them here until I type something in. So let me do this. And let's say that this gadget, whatever, costs $50. And I'll just put the 50. The computer will add the .00. And how many do I need? Is 2. Would you like to make those centered or make them look nice? Whatever. Now, how do you calculate how much it's going to cost? If you pay $50 for one and you need 2 of them, then don't say $100 because if you change the number to 3, nothing's going to change. It's imperative that you use formulas. That's why you use a spreadsheet. And here in the column D, which is the extended cost, what we want to know is how much for all of those whatevers. You always start a formula with an equal sign. Always, always, and always. Equals. And then if you typed 5, if you did 5 times 3 is 150, well, that's nice, but what if you change? It doesn't change. So that's why you always use a formula here. And I had to do an edit, by the way, on the video. So if it sounds a little jilted, that's why. Equals, and now what you do is you click the cell, or you can type it, the cell reference of what you want, and that's going to be how much for one times how many we want, and just press the enter key. And it will calculate the total, the extended cost, and the way I set this up is that it will show the formula on this side. The formula that you put here in this cell, which actually shows, if you look up in the formula bar, you see, it will show what the formula is, but I don't want to open it and have to click. So I had it type it for me here, and I put it in blue, so you'll know that that's mine. On the other hand, not on the other hand, you might need to set currency format for this cell as well, or you could select all of those cells and set currency format for all of them at once, or accounting format, I don't care. And if you were a big smart aleck, you could actually use the fill handle, which is the little tiny, look at this, little itty bitty square. You see that? If you get your mouse over that little itty bitty square in the bottom right hand corner, and your mouse changes from a hollow cross and not a four-headed arrow to move, that's to move, and down to a solid crosshairs. You have to take a quiz on that if you're in my 153 class. Then I can fill down, and all of the other formulas will come in there as soon as I put in a value. Oh, that's good. Since we're here, oh dear, what did I do? The column's too narrow. Railroad tracks means the column's too narrow. Just go up to the top and either double click or click and drag to make it wider. That's all. No big deal. One formatting thing that I did not do was it said to use for row 2, use heading 3 maybe. That's what they teach in our 153 textbook. So for this column, oh, go away, Copilot. Oof, it's in my way all the time. I have to fix that. It just updated. Go up to styles. And again, I can't see my styles, but I can see one button for it. And I'll click the drop down arrow. And style heading 3 is a common one to put as column headings. So I said to do, I mean, if you did something different, but I'm trying to give you good exposure to information. Will you please do one more thing? Oh, I have to calculate the sum. Then I want to know exactly how much this is going to cost for the proposal. So I'm going to click in the cell and then up, up on the home tab, you see that squiggly E, the funny E? In calculus, that's a summation. So if you click that cell, you can actually choose some common functions, but I'm going to choose some. And then so I've gotten step 1, click where you want it to go. Step 2, click which function you want to use. And step 3 would be select the cells to include. Do not include the total in your calculation or it will be twice as high, right? So you can't see that I have 3 through 7 selected, but I do. And then press the enter key and now it will give me a sum at the bottom of all that I've calculated and it will show the sum formula there. So and I think I did all of the instructions now. The last instruction is to set focus back to sheet 1 before saving, which I'll do in a minute. Will you please humor me and tell me what your current level of experience is with spreadsheets? It just helps me know, like, this is why I made the video on account of other students' answers. So please do that for me. Just put an X, whatever. Oops, there. All right, set the divide, oh, do I need to change my zoom back? Well, my zoom's okay for this sheet. Let's go back and change the zoom on this sheet. I need to make it just a little bit farther out so that all of the columns will show on the screen. And I guess I'm done. I filled in everything. So I'm going to save the file save or control S or whatever you want to do. File save and then close and submit. Do I hope that helps? It's 20 minutes, but maybe you don't have to watch the whole thing. I hope that helps you with your spreadsheet formatting.